First of all, massive welcome. Thank you for being here. You look glorious, as I said to you a moment ago, and it's so good to see you here. Thank you for coming on. And Diana shows up all the time. I mean, there's more chance of me not being on the live than Diana not being there, and I really mean that. So why don't we go right back to the beginning, Diana, and if you can let us know, I suppose, what your biggest struggles were with your weight, how long it's been going on, and what your enough is enough moment was.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. This is most bizarre being on the other side, but amazing. Okay, so I've struggled all of my life with my weight. I think my awareness started at about age 6. I remember my mum did all the extracurricular activities, the gymnastics, ballet was a particular one. And about age 6, I was conscious. I was bigger than everybody else. I looked a bit different. So I was aware at a very young age. So takes me through, I don't know, age 10 maybe. That's when, people would start calling me names, 10-ton Tessie, bit of bullying going on. My dad had a heart attack when I was 10. My mum was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I ate my way through all of that turmoil. So, food was available because nobody was really paying that much attention to me, I guess. So yeah, I could eat whatever I wanted and just ate my feelings. That was my comfort. I kind of didn't have any normality around food, so I'd stay with friends and I was always hungry because their portion size was smaller. Yeah, it was difficult. So, I didn't speak about it, but, I was very aware. So I did go and see a psychologist as a kid, and guess what they said? They said, eat less and move more. So that was really helpful because they didn't try to dig into any of the reasons as to why I was maybe behaving the way I was. So yeah, that made me just kind of, not want to talk to anyone about it. So I probably peaked at about, 14 stone. I think I've heard this before from others where you put on a stone every kind of year. So I think it was around about 14 stone, and that was sort of into my late teens. And then the mad dieting and yo-yo binging began. So I would try all the fads out there, exercise until I collapse in a heap on not enough calories. And then just, revert back to old bad habits and just comfort eat again. I'd always get to my goal weight, but I could never stay there. So it was almost that, punish yourself to get to that one number on the scale. Yeah. And then whether that was for an event or a date or whatever it might be, then you just revert back to all the bad habits and eat your way through it again. And I think I kind of went from boyfriend to boyfriend, trying to find, I don't know, where I fitted in, maybe where somebody else could fix me. I think I was always looking for sort of external things to make me feel better. Not realizing, we'll come to that obviously was not the answer. I married twice in my 20s. All the wrong reasons, neither one lasted. I should also mention that alcohol featured heavily as a crutch. I would just use all these support mechanisms, just blocking out how unhappy I was. It was a really self-destructive cycle. But despite all of this, I wasn't just in the gutter. I was I'm a grafter, I'm a hard worker, so everything I do, I apply 110%, and I've always succeeded in jobs and all of that. But I've done a lot of masking, so I'd be coming out on top. People would think everything was amazing, but yeah, I was masking all the time. I'd just let people see the version that I wanted them to see. So that's pretty exciting.
Diana, because I just want to say that there's so many comments coming in here with people who are resonating with what you're saying. But what I will say is you've been through a hell of a lot. I mean, to have gone through that at such a young age, bullying, loss, like I would almost say being brushed off with unhelpful advice, like you best move more. And then, of course, putting on a mask is exhausting. And then every single time you either try to lose weight and regain it, or even a relationship, it never works out. Like it does or can lead to feelings of failure. Of course it can. And if you're someone who applies all of themselves to something, that of course isn't going to sit well with you. Now, like how many years do you think that your weight has been something that has been on your mind on and off?
At the age of 6, I'm nearly 54. All my life, the mental capacity is ridiculous, of how much time, you know, that takes up. Just the fat, the weight, the what do you wear, what do you look like, how it affects your confidence. It just affects absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And it just was never going away. Yeah. So no, I kind of got into my, it's black and white thinking that you talk about, and I was very much an all or nothing. And okay, so it's worked. I got to this point. I can't sustain this, you know, because it was always about a number on the scales. And not, you know, I've tried everything going to the, you know.
What have you tried?
All the well-known ones, you know, the Weight Watchers, Scottish Slimmers, Slimming World, any crazy diet going. I remember doing a hospital diet. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was about 600 calories a day. It involved black coffee, spinach, cottage cheese. I mean, it was horrendous. And, you know, I felt absolutely awful on it. Dropped a dramatic amount of weight and then just ate everything in sight that I deprived myself of. And yeah, and you try and exercise on top of that. It's mad when you think about it. It's actually really quite crazy, some of the things that we try and do to feel better.
I just want to elaborate on this, Diana, for some people watching. One of the reasons people never lose the weight is because they associate weight loss with deprivation. So they're depriving themselves because so many diets in the past have been built on deprivation. Now, not only is it damaging for your metabolism and, of course, your relationship with food, but it also discourages people to try again because they believe they have to go back to those extreme methods to lose weight sustainably, which means they believe it's not worth it. And to be honest with you, I can't really argue with that. It's almost not worth it to go through all of that to lose weight. So the key thing I want people to recognize here is it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to live a life in deprivation or in hunger and feeling miserable as a result of it. And obviously, Diana, you're here because you've seen one of our advertisements on Facebook, and it's very, very easy to, you know, to ignore that and to say, I've tried all these things in the past, or to say, must be a scam. So what made you click on that genuinely?
Well, I'll just fill in a little gap of, I married a third time in my late 30s, had 2 children in quick succession in my early 40s, got 2 daughters, had postnatal depression with the second one. The reason I'm talking about this is hormones feature heavily. We didn't know at the time she was a difficult baby, but she's got extreme learning difficulties and is non-verbal autistic. So she's 11 now. My eldest is 13, but my 11-year-old is one of my strongest whys, to be strong, healthy for as long as I possibly can, so that she stays with me and doesn't have to go into care. So she's a massive, massive why. But, you know, you move kind of forward, late 40s, early 50s, and we get the gift that is all the additional hormones with menopause, etc. So I think my desperate moment, last year, funnily enough, this lovely Irishman popped up on Facebook, and I thought, sustainable, no fat diets, okay. You get, you know, education around, you know, what you need, and, you know, women of a certain age, absolutely piqued my interest. And so I reached out in the middle of last year, and then took fright and retreated, which is very much like me. And then I had a 2-day conference that I had to go to in October, and I was going through my multi-size wardrobe trying to find something that fitted. I'd ordered a skirt from Monsoon for the awards night, and I was delighted because it was a size 12, until I realised that was a Canadian size 12. It was actually a 16. It was horrible. I just so unhappy, so desperately sad. And your timing, I don't know what it is, Alex. I think you must have some kind of spidey sense, but you reached out just the right time, just before I was going to this conference. And I couldn't speak to anyone. within sustainable change because I was going away. But I decided then and there, I'm in, I am all in. I've got nothing to lose. I cannot spend the rest of my life feeling like this, because I was looking back with regret and looking forward with fear and dread almost. And that's a horrible way to live. I was just surviving, and I was doing everything right for my daughters, but feeding them everything I should, and eating all the healthy meals with them, and then in secret I would be doing all the bad stuff to try and make myself feel better. It was ridiculous. I'm a grown woman. I'm not daft. It was just ridiculous. So I just knew I could be better, and I needed to be better. And yeah, you're the absolute lifeline.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, Diana, but my usual response, which I'm going to respond with here, is it's your sweat on your shirt, not ours. You did it, nobody else, and I mean that like sincerely, because it is so important to recognize that, because it's not easy to trust someone you don't know. It's not easy to embark on a journey of sustainable weight loss when you've tried so many things in the past and when you've obviously been heavily impacted by it. It just requires phenomenal courage to just say, you know what, I'm not willing to put up with my current situation. I'm not willing to accept that as my future. And the comments coming through right now are beautiful. And one lady said, "You look too young to be on this program," which I absolutely love. You sound incredible. You're so strong, so dedicated. Sarah Nichols pulled you up. I'm glad she did it. I was about that. You're not ridiculous. We just need support sometimes, Sarah says. I love that. There we go. Exactly. When we start pulling each other up on negative self-talk or beating ourselves up, it's beautiful. And obviously it's from a place of care, and totally resonate with you, says Nornita. You're an amazing. Thank you for sharing. And actually, the biggest thing I'll say here that is most impressive about you, Diana, is you're just completely open and honest about things that people don't talk about. Like you mentioned about eating well, but then you're eating in secret. No one wants to talk about that because they feel sometimes uncomfortable talking about it or ashamed. Being open and honest humanizes you, Diana, and it recognizes, well, it involves everyone watching this who at some stage in their life have turned to food when their partner's in bed or have turned to food in secret. And you use the word sustainable several times. Why do you think this is sustainable and not just one more temporary thing?
Because we're being educated. It's that multidisciplinary team that you have. It's we're perfectly imperfect people, and you embrace that. We're not just a physique with extra weight and we're just getting to a number. It's about everything, and it's done in such a way, it takes away the decision making, because the food plan is so simple but tailored. Still gives you choice, but it takes away all the food noise, which is massive. And I know we talk about this all the time, or you do. The workout plans, again, tailored, but they're simple, and it's just it was just following the process, and it's just those small, consistent daily steps, and the steps as well. But all of these acts are just amazing. And one of the first things I did was to listen to Morning Miracle by Hal Elrod. Now the knowledge I'm getting from all of this is incredible. I think it's one of the biggest things. But you and your team have done your research, because you resonate everywhere. They'll have recommended reading, and I'll go on and listen to something else, and everything you say, it stacks up everywhere. You can tell the amount of work and years of study. I know you've done so many degrees, but yeah, it's incredible. But it's the small actions, but getting my morning in place, that's been my that's my stability, if you like. That's the foundation. It's that extra hour in the morning that's just mine. And it's, again, no decision. I do my yoga, I do my meditation, I do my workout. I listen to your live Monday to Thursday. It's now so ingrained, I don't think about it anymore. It's just what I do. And the results that come from it have just been absolutely incredible. And, it's not been without struggles. I'm still out in the pouring rain last night in my waterproofs and everything, getting my steps in.
Wow.
And I reframe everything. You talk about reframing all the time, and it's so true, because I was out there. I've got all the comfortable clothes to do that in. You know, nothing was leaking, no water down my back or, you know, water in my shoes. I've got my earbuds in. I can listen to something. You know, that's my knowledge time. And how amazing is it going to be when the weather's nice and you can be out walking and getting your steps in?
Yeah.
So it's that comparison. So it's reframing everything.
On this note, first of all, Diana, there's so many things that you're saying of huge value. So I want to actually just elaborate on them. I've written down here: reducing decisions, miracle morning, repetition, and reframing. So everyone watching this, I want you to really pay attention to what Diana said. Reducing decisions by having a tailored meal plan means that food noise is out there and you go on autopilot and you just eat what's on your plan if it's tailored. And that way it's not like, should I not? And then you haven't got that food noise or headspace being taken up. The miracle morning is about you win the morning, you win the day. And because stressors gradually increase as the day goes on, by you keeping a promise to yourself first thing, no matter what, it means that no matter what the day throws at you, you've already kept that promise to yourself. That builds self-belief, it builds structure, even the physiological endorphins of seeing progress, a feeling of accomplishment, and of course, oxytocin that's released and things in your body when you do movement, again, sets you up for success. Repetition, repetition, repetition. So we echo so many things from the books that we actually ask you to read and vice versa. And we do that on lives, we do it on the progress reports, we do it in all of the programs that we actually have, because repetition builds permanent change. I want everyone watching this to write this down. Louise Priest is asking right away, how can I see Diana? Click on the link in the description in Instagram. You can see her face rather than just mine. Highly recommend that. The reframing that you mentioned is so powerful. So rather than saying, I'm not going to go out in the rain, or rather than saying it's terrible weather, you're speaking to yourself as in, no such thing as bad weather, but bad clothing. And right now I'm in good clothing. And also, what's it going to be like in the summertime when the weather changes? And you're automatically looking forward to something, and going out there and doing that in the rain is dedication as well. Again, proving to yourself how mentally tough that you are. So Diana, there's so many things that you're sharing here that I want people to see. And I really, really mean that. You should be so proud of yourself. And actually, speaking of which, what have you achieved? What have you achieved? What are your scale victories? What are your non-scale victories?
So 19 kilograms down in 4 months.
Wow.
3 stone. 3 stone. Yeah.
3 stone in 4 months.
Yeah, so I'm a size 8 to 10 now. I was a 14 to 16.
Wow.
Yeah, my aching knees and hips are a thing of the past. I have no more aches and pains. But, you know, I did a test with my daughter where I got my 2 8-kilogram weights and put a 2 on top, and I didn't have a 1. But, you know, I was getting her to hold this, and even me holding it, it was carrying that amount of extra weight around. No wonder my joints were aching, and it's just, yeah, it's mind-boggling. But the ripple effect on my family, I'm leading by example. I'm actually a role model now to my daughters, which is, yeah, that makes me feel powerful. When you have your daughter who I could see her turning into a mini me with her love of food, and, you know, because I enjoy food. I've always enjoyed it, even though it's been my enemy for a long time. It's not anymore. And, you know, she'll sit there and bite into a pepper now because I put my tuna mix into 2 pepper halves and put the rest in a wrap. And, you know, so she'll sit there and actually eat a pepper like an apple. But yeah, she's just far more aware because she's watching what I'm doing. I'm not having to say anything. You know, you can't control what other people do. They'll do what they want to do. My husband has improved his physical exercise, drinking less alcohol, because alcohol just doesn't feature in my life anymore, which is amazing. And it's not a never. I'm not doing the black and white. I will never touch alcohol again. It just doesn't feature. So it's yeah, that's a massive win, because the effects of alcohol they've been extremely detrimental. The decisions you make the next day, what you feel like eating, what you feel like doing, it's that self-destructive cycle. So that's a massive win to have that out of my life now. Centimeters, 86 centimeters I've lost. I have a 26-inch waist. Who would have thought that, having kids, you know, in your early 40s, and you believe everything there, that yeah, your body shape changes and you'll always just be bigger, and you know, I struggled to accept that, and I'm so glad that I didn't, because yeah, it's, you know, amazing. But the mental weight loss is massive. You know, it's that weight which has freed up so much space to be better in my relationships, be better in my job. You know, I've got a ripple effect there as well. That sort of positivity and energy is flowing throughout my work as well. And you know, I was away with work on Monday there, and everybody's asking, "What are you doing?" So yeah, I was a bit of an advert for you. So, which is lovely because it's, you know, just showing off what I've achieved, but with a great group of people. You know, you talked about shame, huge amount of shame, and this is the only place I've ever been able to share that. And you know, I've hidden that for years, but the inner circle, you can say anything, somebody gets it. You know, I call you my tribe. I found my tribe. But you know, with you leading the helm, Alex, your team of amazing people, Joe, my coach, I have to put a big shout out to Joe, because he is my voice of reason, no question is daft. He's amazing. And to have that constant guide, you know, that you can just reach out to anytime, is amazing. So, you know, anybody thinking about it, the investment in yourself, I hate to think of the thousands upon thousands of pounds I have spent during my life to try and make me feel better in other ways. This is a drop in the ocean, the investment here. It's, you know, I'm living life to the full. I'm now looking forward. It's going to be the best next chapter today and all my tomorrows. And it's liberating. You know, I could talk about this for hours. I won't, obviously. But yeah, it's giving me my life.
You're like a beacon of light. I mean, in terms of your glowing, and the comments. Like, we've never ever had people on Instagram asking, "How can I see Diana? How can I see?" I love it. That just shows you the impact you're making, and the people that you're truly inspiring. And we've never had so many comments in a short period of time. I mean, literally, I think we're close to 400 here, more than 400. So best of luck going through all of these comments, of course, once you're off.
I will.
So I appreciate that. And there's key things and beliefs and, of course, behavioral patterns Diana talked about here. One, she never quit. She kept trying, and she was open-minded. Like, that's a huge skill set, to be open-minded in itself rather than like closing yourself off. Yes, as you said, you retreated a little bit, but you came back. You know, you came back. Number two, being able to recognize behaviors like black and white thinking, like the all or nothing mentality, and realize that all or nothing eventually leads to nothing. It allows you to recognize that if you want true sustainability, you can't always be on it. You can't live a life being deprived either. You know, and this is so important, so important. And I want everyone to recognize this. And if you can write down this question, well, if it's not sustainable, ask yourself this question: is this sustainable? And if it's not sustainable, you shouldn't do it. And I fundamentally believe in it. Like, I drink alcohol as well. I also eat out in restaurants. You know, you need to have balance. You need to be able to feel like this fits into my life, not my life stops because I'm doing it. And what would you say to someone, Diana, who is on the fence, is scared, or has a habit perhaps of retreating like you did originally?
Oh, just don't even think about it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it, because you know it will change your life. I don't even have an old life back. I've got a new life.
Oh.
And it's absolutely incredible. And I feel so grateful every day, so grateful. But it's achievable. It's not hard work. You don't have to sweat buckets. And you know, I used to think that in order to change the way I am to what I am now, I would have to starve myself and work relentlessly, and you know, absolutely be running for miles and do all sorts of things. You do not at all. And I've never been hungry, because the increase in protein, you know, it fuels everything. And you know, you've got the balance all worked out for you of your carbs, your protein, your fiber, and you will be so educated. And it cements why you need to do all of this. It's so important for your health and well-being. But to feel this good, why would you go back? You know, I feel better than I've done in 20 years and possibly ever, you know, and that sounds quite crazy as well, but it's simple, and you've got all the support there. I'm not saying it's easy, because you have to commit and you just have to keep doing it, but it's small, consistent steps, and you've got the amazing inner circle, which you have for life, by the way. How amazing is that? But it so is. You have a group of people who, you know, I see so many people in there with real proper life struggles. I don't have those. You know, I know I had a rough start, but that's just made me stronger. But I see some real struggles in there, and yet I will put in a question about something quite insignificant, about feeling low, and the love and support and advice was just flooding back in. It's just an amazing, amazing group of people. So you're not alone. You know, I've been lonely for so much of my life with this, and I don't feel alone anymore. That's incredible. There's so many incredible things. I think I might write.
Say that again. What was that last thing you said? I missed it.
I might write a book.
Right, there you go. Well, Diana, again, some key things that you said there. Again, this is the exact methods you've used. You've showed up. You've worked hard. We try and keep it simple, because simple equals doable, doable equals sustainable. And we're trying to even more so now make what we do even more simple to reduce overwhelm. You mentioned about being able to share things in the inner circle that perhaps, in your words, weren't as severe as what other people were going through. Now, this is a huge elephant in the room that I want to tackle head on, because I know there's hundreds of people watching this who don't speak up in the inner circle because they are comparing their struggles to someone else's who, in their eyes, are more severe. And they almost feel, I haven't got the right to share what I'm going through because it's not as bad as XYZ. So Diana, you obviously didn't make that mistake. And I want you to speak to everyone out there who perhaps is making that mistake, so they feel comfortable and able to share what they're going through, regardless of anyone else's story. So how did you do that? Like, how did you not fall into the common trap of saying my worries aren't real worries?
Because I've seen all the other comments that other people put in there, and it's relative to you. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. I've seen, you know, from the nervous person who's just come in and started, which I love engaging with, because it's like, oh, you know, just take it slow. You know, this is going to be amazing. I think because I've just got, you know, that it takes time, but I commit to about half an hour a day, if I can, of just seeing where everyone's at, and, you know, making comments where I can, a bit of support. But you see the questions coming in, you see the ones that seem insignificant. Nothing's insignificant, because they're how you're feeling, and, you know, your feelings are genuine, and somebody out there will have experienced something. And that's the thing. I don't think there isn't anything you could put somebody wouldn't say, I've been there, this is what I did, or, you know, you've got this, you know, just the support, the advice. So nothing is too small, because small things build up to be massive when you don't share them. And that's something I learned over the years. You know, they end up huge in your own head when actually 100%. They make them small when they start.
A small struggle leads to a festering wound that gets worse and worse and worse. So if anyone watching this takes nothing away from this call, but takes away the last 3 or 4 sentences Diana said, which is reach out, raise your hand, share what's going on, regardless of circumstance, that in itself will help literally hundreds of people. And if you do resonate with Diana in any way, shape or form, that we are giving away one-to-one weight loss sessions on Facebook right now. There's a link there in the comments. You'll see it in the description. Book one in. They are limited though, and we have to reserve them for people who are not working with us, and of course have at least 9 kilos to lose. So please do, if you book it, see it through. Now, Diana, you also mentioned about people who are just starting. I know we're going to go way over time here, Diana, but I just love speaking to you. So last question, I promise. We're not even a question, it's a statement. You talk about people who've just joined and are nervous. And I get just as excited about this as you do, because in the nicest possible way, people who just joined, they haven't got a clue how much better their life is about to get. They really don't know. And then you could just watch them grow into that human being that they never thought they could become. And that is so special. I mean, so special. So I want to thank you, Diana, for coming on here. I know, guys, I'm way over time, but I'm sure you don't blame me speaking to Diana. I can speak to you forever. You're just an absolute rocket ship of inspiration, of joy, of energy, of brightness, of hope. And I want to thank you, seriously, for coming on here. I'm so grateful.
Well, thank you, because you're the one leading us. You're the shining star. We wouldn't have got here without you. And I know it's our sweat, but it's your years of sweat too. So thank you.
I appreciate that. And it's people like you who remind me why I do what I do. And I also want to use the opportunity to thank everyone, obviously, behind the scenes. Like, we are a team of 80 professionals. So it's certainly a lot more than just me. So thank you, Diana, for coming on. And thank you for everyone for coming on to support Diana and learn from her. Do book in a one-to-one call if you're struggling. There's a link there to do it. There's also some scholarships we're giving away in the comments and also in the description, alongside new trainings on procrastination and consistency if you are struggling. And that's true regardless of whether or not you're working with us. Make sure you message your coach and ask for those trainings. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know I certainly did. I'm going to be here tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday every week to show up for you guys and help. Have a wonderful day, Diana. Thanks a million. Bye-bye, everybody. Speak soon. Bye-bye. 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 So it's just ending now on Facebook. It takes a couple of seconds for it to finish up. I'm just going to check that it has ended. No problem. Okay. So Diana, just want to say, I'm pretty sure I'm not live anymore. You are absolutely brilliant. Like, you just consistently just be yourself. And I love that about you. And
thank you.
I want you to see this live now as a journal, as a journal of something that you've done to consolidate all of your accomplishments. And we're only getting started. Like, your life is going to keep getting better. I fundamentally believe this. I was speaking to someone yesterday how my 20s were amazing, but my 30s are so much better. And I can't wait for my 40s, my 50s, my 60s. And I want our life to keep going up on that upward trajectory, because that's why personal growth is so important. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You are brilliant. And I'm so grateful to have you.
Oh, no, I loved, honestly. I've been, when I first started to see the results, I thought I want to be that person that's on the other side of the camera, because, I just want to share it all. And I want to be back in a year to prove I've sustained.
There you go. Well, let's do it. Let's do it. And this is why the compounding impact of growth is huge. And what I might ask you for, Diana, if I sent you a link to update one of your reviews, would that be okay if I give you a link to do that? Oh, you're the best. I'll fire it over now. That'd be a huge help to me, and also to Joe as well, by the way. So thank you for hopping on. Enjoy the comments. They're some of the most special comments I've ever seen, actually, ever on a celebration. I wouldn't say that lightly. So that's testimony to you. And I really mean that.
Thanks, Alex.
My pleasure. Bye-bye. Have a lovely day. See you in the morning. Let's go. Bye-bye.